Hi, everybody. Welcome to Meetup Live. I'm Eileen Gilbertson, and I'm head of marketing for Meetup. And we're going to get started very shortly. We're going to let everyone sign in and see a lot of people joining. So we're really excited to have you. Thanks again for coming. And we have a lot going on tonight, so we are going to start on time. So we'll just let a couple more people join. And then, see, it's 8 o'clock. We'll just wait 1 minute and then we will get started. Okay, as I mentioned, we are getting started on time tonight. I know sometimes we start a little later, but as I mentioned, we have a packed schedule. So first, we want to go over a few of the guidelines for tonight's event. So we are recording, so it will be available if for some reason you miss something or you have to leave early. We will be sharing the recording after tonight's event. Everybody is on mute, so it's a courtesy. Your audio will be muted during the event, but of course we want to hear questions, so please submit your questions on the Q&A feature. So you'll see there's a chat and a Q&A, but please submit your questions under the Q&A. Hi, Australia. Glad everyone is here. So I want to introduce David Siegel. He is Meetup CEO, and he is going to take it from here. Hi, David.
Good morning to all Meetup organizers in Southeast Asia and Oceania. Important factoid, Southeast Asia and Oceania are the fastest growing areas for Meetup. This entire Meetup Live session is solely dedicated to organizers like you. And the most important message that I really want to share are the two critical words in the English language, which is thank you. Thank you for everything that you do. It is organizers like each of you who are truly changing people's lives. You are building community in your areas. You are connecting individuals to their passions, and we would be nothing at Meetup without each of you. And I just wanted to start with that. Meetup was founded in a time of crisis. Meetup was founded right after 9/11, close to 20 years ago, when our founder, Scott Heiferman, who many of you may have met, and he's still an important and critical advisor to the company, had realized that he didn't know many of his neighbors in his apartments building that he lived in. And after that crisis, he started meeting one person after another and realizing it shouldn't take a crisis to help to build community. Each of you know that. And that's why you are community leaders in everything that you do. Well, we're in a very different crisis right now. The coronavirus pandemic has had an untold impact on lives and on communities. And during this time, it's been organizers like each of you who have kept your communities together, because it's not about just meeting in person. It's about keeping connected, which is far more important than anything else. And I wanted to thank you for that. We're going to talk a little bit about online meetups and the evolution there. We're going to talk about getting back together in person and doing it safely, and how we're starting that process in certain countries. And we're going to open this up for Q&A and questions. Before I share with you a video that will hopefully ring true for each of you, I think it's important to also make important mention about everything that's happening around Black Lives Matter, both in the US and around the world. At Meetup, one of the reasons why I consider myself so incredibly fortunate to be the CEO is because Meetup, one of the greatest reasons and bases for hatred and racism and xenophobia is ignorance. It's ignorance because people don't necessarily have the opportunity to build relationships with others who are maybe different than them. Meetup is about building diverse communities, as each of you know. It's about building communities where people can get to know people that they never would have potentially met in the past. And it's the power of those types of relationships that break down barriers, break down stereotypes, and turn ignorance into potential friendships. It's in that context that Meetup is going to be sharing a communication and a plan for how we can help to address the systemic racism that exists both in this country and around the world. And I think just today, with all the events that are happening, it's very important to me to be able to share that with each of you. So thank you. What I'd like to now do is to share with you a video. It's short, to remind us all about the beauty of everything that we're involved in. Here we go.
A lot of awesome runners here this morning.
Before you even exchange the words, your body start exchanging chemicals.
I move agile, I reflect on self, I iterate. That's agility.
We are at our best when we get out there with real people. And that's a great message. I want to share with you some statistics about the work that each of you are doing to make sure you really understand how powerful it is. Not only do we have a pandemic, but there's another epidemic in the world. It's an epidemic of loneliness. According to a recent study, 46% of people regularly feel lonely. 46%. It's been said that the epidemic of loneliness and the dangers of loneliness are as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes every single day for a period of 30 plus years. And that epidemic of loneliness that exists is even more exaggerated among individuals who are younger, around Gen Zers and people who are in their early and mid 20s, which is even more scary in terms of the impact that it could have in our future. 25% of people in a recent study, up from only 10% just a decade ago, amazingly, said that they did not have even one trusted confidant in the world. not one. Think about how many trusted confidants as organizers you have created for the members in your organizations. 25% of people can't even say that they have one. And 89% of people have said that in the last social interaction that they've had, it's been some way been interrupted with technology. Now, the most important number, however, is this number right here. It's 30 million. 30 million is the number of hours that Meetup has facilitated around the world over this last 12 months. We've had 30 million hours worth of Meetup experiences for a long period in person, for a shorter last few months online, and then now increasingly more, especially in Southeast Asia and in Oceania, increasingly back to in person, only when it's safe to do so. 30 million hours of human connectedness you have built. We have 50 million members worldwide. We have 330,000 Meetup groups, 100,000 Meetup events every week in 2,000 cities and 190 countries. And the fastest growing area, again, for Meetup is in Southeast Asia and Oceania. So thank you. Just to get some numbers for Australia and New Zealand, we have over 8 million members, over 500,000 active members. We have 14,000 Meetup groups just between Australia and New Zealand, and over 2,600 events every single week. In Asia, we have 21 million members, 32,000 groups, and over 5,000 Meetup events every single week. There's been, obviously, during more recent events, a shift towards online, because it's not about in person, it's about driving human connections and doing that safely. That is what we're focused on, driving human connections. That's what each of you have done. And since we moved to online, in our first 18 years, we had 0 online events for the most part, 0. We now had, in just the last 8 to 10 weeks, over 400,000 online events created to keep people connected at this time. Over 260,000 online events have been hosted, and the ones that have been created and not hosted will be hosted over the weeks to come. And over 3 million people attending those events around the world from 190 different countries. There's been a meaningful shift to online because it's about human connections during this period of time, and Meetup is even more important during this crisis. And that spans across all different types of events. And we have so many different organizers from all around Southeast Asia and Oceania, and that are doing incredibly diverse activities. Whether it's tech activities, this is a number of tech events that have moved online. In our first 18 years, 0. In March, we had 2,000. And then by May, this past month, we had close to 23,000 tech events that were online, from only 2,000 in March and 0 for our first 18 years. And it's not just tech events, though. Whether it's tech events, whether it's career or networking events, which, by the way, is even more than tech events, especially with some of the challenges in unemployment around the world, where each of you are playing your roles and helping, or whether it's around hobbies and interests and connecting people around hobbies and interests. Social events are particularly important during this time where people can't get together and socialize. It's more difficult to get together in person and safely, depending on the location. Seen a significant growth in social events as well. Online bingo, for example. And then the all-important support events. Support events, support groups, whether it's help parents of children of ADHD, or individuals who are evaluating gender identity issues, or any other types of incredible support groups that each of you provide. And then finally, sports and outdoor groups. Now you might say, how could you do sports and outdoor groups online? Many of you organizers know, and you found a way, which is amazing. People will go on runs as individually, and they'll come back and they'll have a beer together after the run. and they're keeping community connected even when they maybe were not able to do so in person. And I applaud each of those individuals. We made a ton of events as we pivoted to online very quickly. We allow people to repeat their online events. Extremely important that you can repeat those online events. When originally every meetup event was in person, the time zone was kind of irrelevant because it was in person. It's whatever the time zone is for Sydney, Australia, or Beijing. But now that we have online events, we added information around time zones. We made online events a lot more prominent in our apps. Online is now the default for all new events. And we've integrated and have the capability to work with over 100 new and different video conferencing services. Yes, Zoom is the most common and popular. We have 100 different video conferencing services that have been used as part of Meetup. What I want to also spend time talking to you about before we take your questions, which are so important to me to answer, is around reconnecting and your role when it's safe to do so in leading your community's recovery. Each of you can play an amazing role in helping to bring each of your groups back together in person again when it's safe to do so. We are going to keep online. There's been questions that are asked, is online events going to continue? Will we still have online? And the answer is yes. We'll absolutely always have online events. Some reasons behind it is there are many remote areas around the world, especially in East Asia and in particular in Oceania. We want people who live in those remote areas to be able to get access to learn, to grow, to build relationships. That can only happen if we allow for online events. By having online events, it makes it easier for people from less affluent populations to be able to participate. In Sydney, for example, it's expensive to take a train in from the suburbs and to take a train back. And this allows people to be able to make Meetup more accessible for individuals who don't have the financial means to be able to afford it. For organizers like yourselves that may want a global platform and to build a global reach and to impact individuals around the world, Meetup events will continue to be able to be held online or in person or in a hybrid between online and in person as well. Today's a big day, and that's what we're wanting to kick off right now here. In a few hours, we are initiating our Get Back Together movement. Getting back together to host a safe, emphasis on safe, in-person event in the next 14 days. And we're starting with only 3 countries, or 3 areas, excuse me. China, Hong Kong, and New Zealand. In those 3 locations, we are going to be working with organizers, working with members, and setting a goal, and that we all are looking to achieve as a group. And then when we hit that goal, which I know we will, Meetup is going to donate 50%, 50% of your next month's subscription payment to Global Giving. And if you don't know about what Global Giving does, I encourage you to check out their website. They're an incredible organization that provides PPE, masks, equipment to individuals around the world and drive safety and security during this pandemic. And we're going to be donating significant dollars of your subscription payments towards that as we work towards the goals in these first 3 countries. After this launch of 3 countries, we're then going to launch to other countries in Southeast Asia and Oceania, but we're going to wait. We're going to make sure to do so only when we know and have confidence that it's absolutely safe. It doesn't mean you obviously can't continue to host in-person events as you're doing today. You should, and you should do so with the right guidelines. Meeting outside whenever if it's possible to do so. In many cases it is, in certain cases it's not. Encouraging your members to wear masks, promoting social distancing, considering whether or not you want to set an attendee limit to make social distancing easier, to the extent that washing hands prior, during, after is possible, and or cleaning up afterwards is possible. These are really important guidelines that we want to ensure that each organizer is strongly considering and taking action on as we get back together and get back together in person. Again, the first launch is today in a few hours in these 3 specific countries, and we're going to be phasing it out until we hit all 190 countries. And as organizers, you're going to be getting communications from me, but when we're ready to go into each of your countries as well. And we really look forward to partnering with you around that and donating to an incredibly worthwhile cause as you lead that recovery. So here's what I want to just do for just 30 to 60 seconds right now. I want to listen and learn from each of you. Take a moment and please, in chat, simply just share what country or city you're in and whether or not what you think the timing is of when it's the right time to get back together in person. And for Meetup to partner and support and drive assistance around that. Whether you're ready now, whether you think you'll be ready more in a couple of weeks, whether you think it's going to be a couple of months, or whether you think it's going to be longer than that. You're on the ground. We're not on the ground. And part of this is not just us sharing information with you, but we're looking for your help so that we could then provide the right assistance back to each of you. So if you could just take another 30 seconds and just share in chat your country, your city, and what you think the right timing is around getting back together in person. Obviously, in the US, we're going to be waiting longer because of the current situation. Thank you. Feel free to continue at any additional chats that could be helpful for us so that we make the right decisions around timing. We appreciate it. We have a blog called meetup.com/blog called Community Matters, because it does. And we encourage you to sign up for the blog to get advice, suggestions around organizing. If any of you have been to any of our other Meetup Live events, then we'll read them later on in the blog as well. Meetup Live is a way that we want to connect to organizers, just like now. We have an upcoming session on organizing your online event, optimizing your online events. We're going to give you an opportunity to ask questions of our product team and to give us suggestions and feedback, and also for us to share some of the new features that we're launching. And we have a couple of really exciting ones that we can't wait to share with you. And then we want to kind of provide a demo of how to do some online events as well. We just did one for meditation. We're doing one for yoga shortly as well. Feel free to email me. We have 50 million members, and although it would take a long time to read 50 million emails, still send me a note if you have any suggestions, or if you just want to invite me to your meetup. That would be great too. David@meetup.com. When you have your events, whether it's online or in person, please share them. #KeepConnected. You've been asking some questions, and now we can open this up to Q&A. So please continue to ask questions right now. And I'm just going to read some of the questions now and answer them. And I encourage each of you to ask any additional questions. Again, the focus of this Meetup Live event is for Southeast Asia and Oceania. If you're not from that area, I'm glad you were able to participate, but we'd prefer to prioritize questions from organizers there. So here we go. Adriana, you asked a question. Time zone now shows GMT time, which is an improvement. Agree, it's better than having no time zone at all. Are there plans to show local time in the future? Considering you know the location of members, that shouldn't be too difficult. There were so many questions about it on this meetup comments alone, so definitely a need. I could not agree with you more. As I looked at the comments that were coming in through this Meetup Live event, I saw a tremendous number of questions around that. It was obviously on our roadmap, and now it's going to be a lot higher on our roadmap, specifically because one of the benefits of doing this is that it provides an opportunity for listening. So the answer is yes, we just need to accelerate it and get it faster on our roadmap. But thank you for asking it, and we absolutely agree. Angel asked, okay, you're from Madrid, that's okay. You're from Madrid. How are you promoting the online events geographically? For instance, who will see my online events from my groups in Madrid, just Madrid, Spain? Can I choose a near future how far people can see, meaning how far Madrid? Thanks in advance. Okay, so we have a meaningfully large size data science and machine learning team that helps to provide the best recommendations to individuals based on their patterns of what they happen to have been browsing, what events they happen to have gone to in the past. Previously, we only showed events to individuals if they were in the same exact geography. So Angel, to answer your question, it used to be that when, as an organizer in Madrid, or in any of the countries cities that we're in, only people in your city would be able to see them or in the close geographic area. That is now changing. We are in the process of rolling it out. Literally, I think it's 50% rolled out, but it should be 100% rolled out in the next week. The ability for people to get exposed and discover and search for online events that are not in their city. So if one is looking for amazing tech events, one's looking for amazing support groups, one's looking for any types of groups around any of those areas that I shared before, individuals who are coming to Meetup apps and coming to our Meetup website will now be able to browse for events that are outside of their geography. So in a week from now, get on the website, get on an app, and you will see that we have that feature and that capability. Thank you for asking, Angel. Thomas asked, with the time zone support, will our event show in the time zone of the attendee on Meetup? So for example, if I specify my time zone for event in Japan Standard Time, will someone in New York see it in Eastern Time? Currently, it is extra confusing because there are different days for the event. That's a great point. Just like today, it's Tuesday, obviously, and for most of you, it's Wednesday. And we have to put the details in our event notes. This is why it's taking us a little bit longer, by the way, to roll this out. It's not as simple, and there's thinking that has to go into it. At the end of the day, the number one priority for us is your members, meaning we need to make sure that the experience for members is clear and that it's in the time zone of the members to the extent that we know that information. So for example, for an app, if we're able to ping someone's location, it's a lot easier to definitively know where they're located. In terms of IP address, typically the IP address is correct. However, there are some situations where IP address is not necessarily correct. But Thomas, you nailed it, and clearly the priority for us is making sure that it's clear to the member of exactly where the event is. So thank you for adding that as well. And it speaks to Adriana's question earlier and our need for priority around this. Victor asked, should we just follow local rules and regulations? I live in Tokyo and almost everything is open now. The answer is yes. You should follow the local rules set by government and other local authorities. If the local authorities are saying that in-person is safe and in-person is fine, then you have the absolute permission from Meetup to follow local authorities. Absolutely, and I'm glad, Victor, that you asked that question. We are going to be going to Japan in 2 weeks with a meetup challenge, a meetup support, and communicating with members and organizers in Japan. And I appreciate you clarifying that question. When it is safe, proceed. Jonathan asked, hi, what is the current status with Meetup Business and subscriptions? Is it being sold by SoftBank/WeWork? Well, on March 27th, a little over 2 months ago, Meetup was sold out of WeWork, out of SoftBank, and we are now a fully independent company. The chairman of our company is someone who I've personally known for over 20 years, who has known Scott Heiferman, our founder, and Meetup for 25 years, and his name is Kevin Ryan. Kevin is the founder of MongoDB, Business Insider, of the Gilt Group, and 10 to 20 other companies, and he's now the chairman of Meetup, and we're incredibly excited about his leadership. And there's a lot going on with WeWork, shall we say, and that separation has been a very positive separation for both sides. We do have a pro business and a Meetup subscription business for businesses. It's called Pro. If there's an interest in learning more, you can certainly do a search and learn more about it. Within Meetup, from a geographic perspective, Southeast Asia and Oceania are the fastest growing, but within our business, the fastest growing area is our Meetup for Business and Pro kind of area. Justin asked, and then we'll get to Natalie. Don't worry, Natalie, we're gonna get to you. Justin asked, hi, hey Justin, are there any plans to extend the number of currencies taken by Meetup platform? HKD, for instance, it would make things a lot easier. Yeah, the lack of flexibility in currency, in different credit cards, is something that frustrates me. And Natalie, Justin, I can understand why you're frustrated by it as well. Fortunately, the time zone fix is an easier, quicker fix than the currency side. But clearly on our platform, we need to address and fix this. Again, I'm very appreciative that you brought it up. It's something we're very well aware of. And as we look at our product roadmap over the next several months and quarters, it is something that we absolutely need to do to support each of you more effectively. So I completely agree. Natalie, I already have a wait list, but want to move people from going to wait lists sometimes, but there's no option to do this. Yeah, it's a good question, because if someone's going and they RSVP'd and they anticipated that to already be going, the ability to selectively choose people from going to waitlist is not necessary functionality that we have, but I'm appreciative for the product suggestion. And it's not the first time that I've heard it either. And we have a significant number of our product team is actually on this call, as well as our support team is on this call and our customer service team is on this call, because we're tracking all of these comments, and that helps to inform us around our product roadmap as well. Terry Ann, how many people need to RSVP to an event before it is eligible to be on the community calendar? I don't believe, and I'll get back to you if I'm mistaken here, Terry. And Terry, just include your email or a way to follow up with you directly in chat, please. Because I don't believe that we have a meaningful minimum there in terms of RSVPing piece to an event, but I will get back to you on that and just include your contact information so I can make sure to get you a precise answer. Christine, Members used to be able to suggest a meetup. Is that ability no longer available? My assumption is that a couple of years ago, before I joined, there were quite a significant number of changes that were made. And Christine, you know what? I don't want to misspeak because we have a lot of kind of hidden tricks and that exist within Meetup, some of which I know about and some of which I don't even know about myself after 18 years of the company being around. And I don't want to misspeak. So Christine, if you could also just include your email address, so I will make sure to get back to you as well to make sure to give you a precise answer to that question, because it's important to me that you know exactly whether or not we have that capability. Adriana, second time we're hearing from you, so I'm glad. We started off with Adriana, I believe. So Adriana also asked another question. Adding to Justin's point, can you please consider adding cryptocurrency? That's a great idea. I think step one, you know what the answer is that we need to focus on whatever, they're both very important. If we find that cryptocurrency can be launched much quicker, much faster than other currencies, we're gonna launch that first. We know how significant the need is. And we know what a pain point that is for each of you. So I'm glad you added that as well, Adriana, thank you. It's 8:36. Okay, just saw a question by Jess. Jess asked, can we list our sponsors for free events? I can't afford pro, but still need to showcase my sponsors to make the events. The answer is absolutely. Absolutely, you should. We have thousands, not tens of thousands of organizers who find their own sponsors and who put the logos of their sponsors in their events, and they list their sponsors in the events, and they thank their sponsors at the event, before the event, and after the event. Jess, you should absolutely feel comfortable doing so. Getting paid sponsorship is a great way to defray the cost of Meetup. It's also an opportunity to get a brand halo impact of a brand that you want to associate with for your Meetup group. So Jess, absolutely feel free to list the sponsors for free or paid events. No problem at all. Okay, I'm going to just really wrap up with how we originally started. First of all, thank you for the awesome questions. Thank you for taking time during your day to be a part of this conversation. Thank you for sharing your feedback so that we can make sure that when we get back together and we really significantly push getting back together in each of your cities with members and individuals throughout the world, that we're doing so in a safe way at the right time. So feedback is helpful. Thank you for keeping your guidelines around being safe for in-person events, and thank you for all the work that you've done in helping to move your communities to online when it was critical to do so. The two most important words, again, are thank you. Meetup is nothing without each of our organizers. We have a lot of work to do to deserve the time and effort that you put into our product. And I absolutely look forward to, after the coronavirus is passed, to getting on a plane and getting out to many of your different cities and being there. And as it says on my t-shirt, which you may or not be able to see, to help each of you to show up for each other, which is what it's about. Thank you, everyone, for your time, and have a phenomenal rest of the day. Take care.